Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about a couple of records I saw over the weekend that belong in the Vinyl Pricing Hall of Shame. Probably the worst offender yet in my opinion. I'm also going to show you some records that I have been wanting in the collection for an extremely long time and I now have them. And at the end of this video I'm paying tribute to something that really means a lot to me, and I got to go visit my childhood record store, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that. It was pretty bittersweet, but please stay tuned for that at the end because I think you'll really enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get started with this video. I went out with my husband and my daughter. We went to a store that I've talked about several times. We all like to go there because my daughter loves books. My husband likes DVDs and I like records, and they have them all, and they have Funko Pops and games, and it's just a crazy store. I find good stuff there. I'm going to show you a couple examples of that in this video, but I'm also going to add a couple of records to the Vinyl Pricing Hall of Shame. This has been a kind of a recurring theme on my videos where I find records at ridiculous prices and I show them to you all. For me, it's a good laugh, but unfortunately, people are they're paying these ridiculous prices. So this first one just absolutely blew me away. I think it's the worst offender yet because there's been a box set by this artist that is literally everywhere at every Dollar General store, Walmart, everywhere, for a very affordable price. And even the records themselves have been singled out at Walmart, and you can buy a brand new copy of every record from this artist that was in that box set for $18. Or you can go to the store I went to and pay $42.95 for this record, Garth Brooks, No Fences. Now, if it's the original, and it was not, that was probably a fair price. But for this, you can buy it still sealed, brand new at Walmart for $18. Insane. I don't know where they got the $42.95 price at. It blew my mind. But, you know, this is a record that's really good if you like country and you like Garth Brooks. Friends in Low Places. What's the others on here? The Thunder Rolls, Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House. A really good album, but my goodness, the price. I hope when I come back next time it's still there, but sadly, that's not usually the case. Usually when I show records on this channel, when I come back, they're gone. People buy them. It's insane. Another one, and I would say this is a universal thing. It's not just this record store. I see this record go for big money, and it's a total head scratcher for me. I have found it at antique stores and different places for $20. Maybe that's a little low. I don't know. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits 1 or 2, and I found that one in this store for $50. For $50, you could probably buy the whole Billy Joel discography because his records aren't that expensive. But if you want this Greatest Hits 1 and 2, my goodness, it usually does cost a lot of money. $50, and it wasn't even in great shape. I took a look at it. The condition wasn't great. Somebody's going to buy it. They're going to pay $50 for it. And it's just, to me, one of those records, it's a head scratcher. Why does Billy Joel's Greatest Hits cost so much money? You know, if you're trying to avoid having the whole Billy Joel discography, okay, still, that's a lot of money. So those are the two records that I nominate for the Vinyl Pricing Hall of Shame. I would love to know what you think about that and what the pricing is. Maybe you all think it's fair. Let me know. But having said that, even though I saw those two crazy priced records in that store, I found two killer records that I've been wanting in my collection forever. I'm a huge Duke Ellington fan, and I've bought a lot of his records. And I have had the music on vinyl version of this in my shopping cart for ages, and I just never pulled the trigger on it. Now, this was Anatomy of a Murder. This is a soundtrack from a 1959 movie starring Jimmy Stewart. I'm going to see the movie soon. I haven't seen it. But the record itself is very bombastic. There's a lot of really great trumpet, a lot of great clarinet playing. You know, almost at the beginning, it almost sounds like maybe they're trying to do an artistic interpretation of a murder itself. It just comes out so crazy. And I've always wanted to have this Duke Ellington record. I love the album art of it. And while I was at this store that I went to, I was flipping through records and all of a sudden my heart skipped a beat. I saw this and I'm like, you know, we do this little prayer. I do anyway. Please be clean. Please be clean. Let the vinyl please be clean. And when I looked at the vinyl, I about had a heart attack. It was like killing two birds with one stone. Not only did I want a clean vinyl, but when I looked at this, I fell over. I've always wanted to have one of these in the collection. It is a promo copy, 6i Columbia, from 1959, you guys. So not only did I get a record I've always wanted, I got a beautiful promo from Columbia from 1959. And it is so beautiful. I was so excited. So even though I had to weed through some really crazy prices, that one was a great price and it was exactly what I've been wanting. This record is one too. And I don't know about you guys, when it comes to Phil Collins records, it's very confusing for me. They're all just pictures of his big head, nothing else. I always have to check the track listing. So I know to look for the song I Don't Care Anymore, or In the Air Tonight, or Sussudio, or whatever. But I was looking for one particular record that has, again, a very similar cover, and I finally found it at this store. This one is, but seriously, this came out in 1989, and it's got some really cool, some of my favorite Phil Collins songs on it, and also my least favorite. Let's say Hang In Long Enough, for one, was a great track. I've always loved that one. Now, when my husband and I first started dating, he had this CD that he played in his car, and we heard Father to Son a lot, so it brings back really sentimental memories of us dating. Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. I've always enjoyed that song. I think it's really good. Do You Remember is beautiful, and I Wish It Would Rain Down is my favorite track on this album, probably. My least favorite is Another Day in Paradise. I appreciate it now more as an adult, but when I was young, I didn't like that one at all. It was too much of a mix of politics and music. I do not like that at all. And I can remember hearing on the radio a version of Another Day in Paradise where they had taken parts of a George H.W. Bush speech about homelessness and put it in when Phil Collins wasn't singing, and then Phil Collins would be singing, and then it was George H.W. Bush talking about homelessness. It's just not what I wanted to hear when I was that age, or probably today either. And I have nothing bad to say about George H.W. Bush, or I'm not getting political at all. I just don't enjoy when music and politics get all mixed up quite to that extent. But I'm so thrilled to have 1989's But Seriously. And now another wonderful record that I've been wanting to add to the collection for a long time. I love Bill Withers, and the Mobile Fidelity version of his greatest hits is so beautiful. It sounds so amazing that I have been wanting to find more Bill Withers for the collection, and I never see any. So this is a tremendous one to add to the collection. This is Bill Withers' Still Bill. It has his big hit on here, Lean on Me, and I never see this one in the wild. And if I did, it's probably one I had to reject for, it's just hard to find in clean condition. If you can find this on Discogs or in a record store in great condition, you're going to pay probably $50 to $60. This one on Music Direct or Mobile Fidelity's website is a $40 record, so it's more affordable, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. You're getting a beautiful, clean copy of it. Now mine, full disclosure, this one was sent to me from Mobile Fidelity. It is a promotional copy that I did not pay for, but it has a beautiful gatefold. I love the jackets. They're so sturdy and gorgeous, and this record sounds absolutely beautiful. So I love now being able to add more Bill Withers into the collection. Music Direct and Mobile Fidelity, they knocked it out of the park. If you love the greatest hits, you'll also love this. And it's just a really cool way to dig deeper into Bill Withers. This next record is one, again, I've kind of been wanting to have. It's been on the radar to look for, never see it. And then I was sitting back, relaxing, watching Billy Hurst. He has the channel River Bend Records. And he does auctions occasionally on Mondays. You could check him out. There's a lot of us hanging out and having a good time watching him. He's so good at what he does, selling records. And he showed this record and I immediately, yes, I'm going to add it to the collection. Sting, The Soul Cages. I will be the first to admit, I like the Police better than Sting's solo work, but I also like Sting. And this is one I just don't see every day. This one came out back in 1991, I think. And it's a great record. It was a love letter to his dad. His dad passed away back in 1987. And the grief that he felt from his dad's passing caused him to have a little bit of a writer's block. And of course, we all have to go through the process of grief. I've lost both of my parents, so I get it. But, after he kind of went through that initial phase, and it took him a long time, but then all of a sudden the music started to flow from him, and he created this beautiful record in honor of his father. A lot of the songs have references to the sea and to sailing. His dad had told him that one of his biggest regrets in life is that he never became a sailor. So the album cover, of course, has a beautiful boat on it. You all would probably be familiar with this. The song All This Time was a huge hit off of here, as well as Mad About You. It's a gorgeous record. It's sad, and yet it really hits the soul. It's beautiful. Robert Ludwig did mastering on it, and it sounds really great. So I really love having 1991's The Soul Cages, a U.S. first pressing, in the collection. Now this record is one that I found when I went shopping in Nashville a few weeks ago. June is my birthday month, and I was able to go shopping in a way I hadn't been for a long time. And this one was one that was on my radar for a long time. Rattle and Home by U2. This came out in 1988, and it was a rockumentary I'd never seen. I still haven't seen it. I'd like to watch it sometime. It's a documentary they made when they were on the Joshua Tree tour, but they also added a couple of studio hits on here like Angel of Harlem and Desire. They did a cool version of Helter Skelter by the Beatles. It's a great record with a lot of their hits on there. I don't really care, if I'm being honest with you, on I still haven't found what I'm looking for. It gets a little too choiry, a little too churchy, which I like church music, but not when it comes to my rock and roll, I'll admit that. But Pride in the Name of Love is killer. There's a song called Silver and Gold on here, and yes, Bono gets a little political, but then boom, the Edge goes in and does this killer guitar playing. It goes right into Pride. It's a great song or great album, and I really enjoy it. I really do. It sounds great, and finally I have it in the collection from a store called Spinner's Record Store in Tennessee, Nashville area. So if you're ever around there, look them up. I also, when I went into Spinner's, saw this record on their Holy Moly wall, and I'm like, yay! Because I had this CD so long ago. And if you're like me, you can maybe categorize your life from childhood, teenage years, married life, married with kids, but you can also categorize your life with the car you drove, my AMC Spirit era to the Thunderbird era. This one was in my Ford Probe era, and it is George Michael's Listen Without Prejudice. This one is a little bit of a downer kind of album, and yet I still loved it. I had the CD. When I saw this, it immediately brought back, I could almost see the inside of my Ford Probe, just putting in that CD and playing it. And of course, the song Freedom was a huge hit. Praying for Time is absolutely gorgeous. He did not make it as fun as Faith was, but I've always enjoyed this, and it's great to have it on vinyl now. I've never had it before. I also love the songs They Won't Go When I Go. Something to Save, Cowboys and Angels is beautiful. I really love having this one in the collection. So, you know, I got to have some new friends, old friends in the collection, and that brings me to a part of the video I want to talk about where I went to visit an old friend over the weekend. You know, I hear a lot of you, my wonderful viewers, you talk about your memories of going to your childhood record stores, buying records that you still have today, and I think that's fantastic. And I have a little bit of that as well. So I went to an abandoned mall over the weekend. I had my husband drop me off. He went in with me. We both went in. And we saw the sad remains of what was my childhood mall. It's the oldest mall in Indiana, Washington Square Mall in Evansville, Indiana. And I went to see my old record store called Records, Tapes, and Tickets. Back then you could buy records, cassettes, and even concert tickets. So it was a very cool store. I have vivid memories of being in there with my mom, and when she bought really important 45s, and I still have some of them in my collection. YMCA and Macho Man by the Village People, some Sean Cassidy 45s. I know, I was really, really young when we went there, so I don't have a lot of really cool records to show or share with you, but I do remember the last record we ever bought from there was Run for the Roses by Dan Fogelberg. And we went to see it, and I want to show a picture of what it looked like back in the heyday. It was really cool looking. It had this iconic big round glass window, and when we went in to the mall, I didn't really know what to expect because they've made so many changes. Things really don't look exactly the same as they did back then. But sure enough, I was able to easily pick out where that record store stood because it still had that iconic round window. It's a bar now, so in a good way, I guess, if you want to look at the bright side, people are still having fun there and listening to music because I'm sure the bar plays music. You can play pool there. It looks like a lot of fun, but it's so sad that my childhood record store is no longer there and that the whole mall is probably not going to remain much longer. It's just a matter of time before they bulldoze it down and they do something else with it. But I have great memories of going into a store called the Swiss Colony, getting a frozen Coke, going to Woolsey's toy store and getting a really cool balloon, and going to the record store with my mom. She really couldn't buy a lot of full albums, but I have great memories of having 45s from there. So that is my video, just a really wonderful getting records that I've always wanted to have in the collection, kind of making fun of some records that people shouldn't be buying but are, and a nice trip down memory lane. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.